Hi everyone, welcome to back to Lockdown Lessons Part 11. With me today I've got Jo Bell from Bell's Accountants. Sorry. Hi Jo.
Hi Phil, thanks for having me.
No problem at all, no problem at all. So what we're going to do now, for those of you that are watching this, I'm going to take Jo through a series of questions just to find out a little bit more about what Jo does, what Bell's Accountants do, how they help people, and also how they've managed to get through both lockdowns that we're now going through. And I think you're going to take some really great ideas from this and learn something, and hopefully get some inspiration out of it as well. So, and the first question I've got to ask you, Jo, is perhaps you could just explain to those of you that don't know you already exactly what you do and how you help people.
Absolutely. So as Phil mentioned, I'm Jo Bell. I run Bell's Accountants. We're a multi-site practice. We're over 5 sites across Kent, London and Surrey now. And we specialise in helping high growth, ambitious businesses who want a bit more from their accountant. So the business consultancy side, management information. We also do all the traditional things normal accountants do. So payroll, bookkeeping, management accounts, year-end accounts, tax returns, all sorts of things like that for both limited companies, sole traders and partnerships. But the bit we like the best really is helping those businesses that want to grow, and the story that the numbers tell and can help them to make those business decisions.
Good stuff. Thanks so much. So if we could just cast our mind back to March this year. Obviously, we knew there was a sort of a problem maybe when Italy went into lockdown. At what point did you personally start to think, hang on a minute, there might be an issue here commercially for the whole country?
I have to confess, Phil, I was completely in denial. Right up to the day before lockdown, I was in the pub with some friends of mine having a meal, and I remember categorically saying, there is no way this government will lock us down. I said, there's no way they'll put the economy on hold. They won't stop us going out. They can't do that. I was completely adamant that it wasn't going to happen. So yeah, complete head in the sand for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think a lot of people fell into, because it had never happened in our lifetime, had it really? Who are we to be able to predict what was going to happen? And we couldn't, and it happened very quickly as well, didn't it? It was that Friday, wasn't it? You just got notification. All sporting events that evening were cancelled, and it was literally 2 or 3 hours notice. That was it. There was no notice like this time. So it was quite an odd situation we went into. So I just wondered how you managed to adapt with you and your business at Bell's Accountants over the last few months, then since March, in fact.
Absolutely. So a few areas really. Firstly was communication. So obviously initially we all were working from home. I do think we are fortunate because we are a multi-site operation, we are to some extent used to speaking to one another remotely, and we've had Zoom meetings in the past, or Skype, where we've utilised the screens in our meeting room to bring offices together, and so that technology was familiar to us, but not necessarily from our home environments. So one thing we had to do really quickly is obviously get those facilities up and running so that we could continue to act as a team, especially because we are accountants, we were a business that was even more in demand. We're very blessed to still have an income, but we were obviously the first port of call for an awful lot of businesses who needed to understand more about what grants they could claim, what tax breaks they were entitled to, how the furlough scheme was going to work. So we needed to communicate all of those updates out to the clients, as well as keep working as a team and make sure that we were continuing all our day-to-day work and our deadlines were getting met and all of those sort of things. It became very apparent quite quickly that it's a lot more difficult. It needs to be more structured, the communication, if you're going to work in that manner, because normally you'd be sitting next to someone in the office, you can just have a 2-minute conversation and say, oh, how did you deal with that, or did you read that like that, and you'd get an answer that way, whereas there needed to be some form of structured way that people could get answers to their questions.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good point you raised there, actually, about certain businesses, like accountancy practices that haven't been shut down, like maybe some sort of restaurants, gym owners and people like that, sadly. But although you've not had the challenge of being shut down, you have had the challenge of having to be extremely agile, adapt very quickly to Rishi's comments in the news, and have to answer client inquiries and queries really, really quickly and efficiently. So I suppose that's probably been one of your biggest challenges, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's 2 things really. All that additional work that had to be done on behalf of clients, like preparing the bulletins, huge amounts of free advice where we were being contacted and asked lots of questions, obviously implementing the claims for the grants, the CBILS applications and the furlough scheme. So all of that worked. It wasn't revenue generating work, so to speak, but still had to be done. And also from a cash flow perspective, we did have some clients that obviously weren't able to pay their direct debits during those months because they had no income themselves. So we had to be very flexible around clients who owed us money and obviously try and make that work with our cash flow, because it was all through no fault of their own. So those, I would say, are the two things, how it affected us.
Fantastic. So in terms of any sort of wins that you've actually had since March, I always like to focus on the positive, as you know. What sort of wins have you actually had since we went into lockdown initially?
Well, I think definitely the best thing that we implemented was a weekly team meeting on Zoom, and that was the whole team, because we've never actually done that before. What we were doing in the past is we'd have team meetings in the individual offices, and we'd have maybe once every 6 months, we'd get the whole team together for a planning session or whatever, or on a particular educational topic. Now, because of Zoom, the location is not anywhere near as relevant, so we've all been getting together and the whole team has said how beneficial that's been, sharing the knowledge, making sure we're all on the same page. And from my perspective as a business owner, the time savings are immense, because the information, I would have passed it to one office and then another office and then another office, and whereas I just now write an agenda and I deliver everything I need to deliver in a half an hour session on a Tuesday morning. So really, really efficient way of communicating, and it's helped the team start to refer that information as well. So they'll ask each other rather than all coming to me. They'll know that, oh, you know, Helen raised a really good point on that in Chislehurst in the team meeting last week. I'll ask her what she meant by that, or, you know, so that's definitely helped the team as well feel more together.
Good stuff. So what have there been any changes that you've made during lockdown that you're actually going to carry on doing after lockdown's finished and we're all allowed out into the big wide world?
Definitely the team meetings. So definitely those are going to continue indefinitely. We've just actually extended the recurring meeting in the diary beyond this lockdown, so they'll continue. And I think from my perspective, what I personally will do as well is to continue to remain based in one location, knowing I can still easily communicate rather than spending so much time travelling in between all the different locations. It's clear that I don't need to be present in those offices as frequently as I thought. And I think also communication with clients as well. It's great to be able to offer them the option now of talking to us on Zoom, sending their records in via technology such as Receipt Bank and all of that. We had been offering those things for quite a long time prior to lockdown, but lots of people were resistant to it or would prefer to drop their things in, which I understand, and we're still open to that if that's the way someone wants to work. We work on quite a bespoke way, but lots of people, it kind of gave them no choice but to actually embrace or learn that technology, and actually they found for them it saved them so much time. So being able to just photograph their receipts on an app and they come through to us on a spreadsheet automatically, brilliant. You know, they're not having to type it all in all the time, not having to travel to our offices for a meeting, but being able to just open their laptops and Zoom. It's also increased hugely the expanse of people we can work with, because before maybe we were restricted to some extent to the kind of counties where we are based, but actually we found we've taken clients on as far as Cardiff now, because people are not as bothered about having an accountant that's just down the road. That's not as important. They realise that actually they want an accountant that provides a really good service, is proactive, is constantly communicating, and they can find that in us even if they're not based near to one of our offices.
Fantastic. So what would you say, Jo, you've learned about yourself since March the 23rd then?
I've definitely learned, I think, how resilient I am and how adaptable I am. I've definitely found that I was able to quite quickly adjust to the new normal, which surprised me because I'm quite a people person. I love networking. I love being around people. So to feel as though I was isolated at home, that could have been quite a challenge. But actually, I think, you know, finding new ways to still feel in touch with people meant that was an easier transition than it could have been. But I think also something I've learned about myself is appreciating all the little things, you know, all the things that we missed during lockdown, being able to go out for a meal and meet up with our friends and all those sort of things. I think now going forward, I'll be a lot more appreciative of those things.
Yeah, so I suppose that now we've just gone into another lockdown, unfortunately, and we're supposed to be coming out on December the, what is it? Second, third,
Second, I
fourth,
think.
second,
Yeah.
something like that. So on it, assuming we don't go into some other nasty tiered version of the same lockdown that we're currently in, what's the first thing that you're going to do when we first come out of lockdown, then, Joe?
Get a babysitter, Phil. That's what I'm going to. So I'm locked in with my 1-year-old all day and night, who, as we were having a conversation earlier, Phil, she doesn't sleep. So it's pretty intense, pretty rough going, the lockdowns, for that reason. So yes, I'm going to be leaving her with babysitter for the night and going out to have some dinner and some peace and quiet.
Very good, a bit of respite care. I'm sure that'd be much appreciated. So just to wrap up then, Joe, really, if I could just ask you again, just to reiterate who your ideal customer is, just in case someone's watching this right now that needs some help either in accounts or bookkeeping, management accounts. What sort of person are you looking to speak to? Who can you help?
So we can help business owners really that are looking for more from their accountant than they're currently getting. So that could be maybe because they've outgrown the existing offerings. So we have a lot of clients that come to us because their business has changed. So when they initially selected an accountant, that was right for their needs, but now they've either grown or they've transitioned or they've gone into a new sector or whatever, or they've gone through a period of growth or indeed a period of decline. All these things, they're quite big changes in our businesses, and they mean that we need something different. So we might need more support either via cash flow forecasts or management accounting, so we can keep an eye on our numbers, or we just might need somebody that can assist us to make some decisions in our business by explaining things in a little bit more detail, what those numbers and accounts mean, or the bulletins and all of the things that are available from the government. But obviously a lot of what we've been spending our time doing in the last few months is translating that information and getting it out to the clients as quick as possible. So if anyone needs more clarity on that, we obviously here we offer a free consultation. We're very happy to have a conversation around those things.
Good, that's lovely, Joe. Thank you so much. So if anyone wants to contact you right now, are you the best person to speak to, or if there's someone else in the practice that'd be the best port of call to actually take any inquiries?
So it basically depends on the nature of the business's requirements. So we have a lot of specialists in different areas, and we've got ladies who specialise in the construction industry and their needs. We've also got people in professional services, retail, and obviously depending on the size of the business as well, we'll have people that are more familiar with your needs and requirements. So the best way really to approach us is via our generic email address, which is enquiries@belsaccountants.co.uk. Obviously, you can find addresses, phone numbers and things on our website as well, www.belsaccountants.co.uk, so you can find which practice is more local to you. But if you email to the inquiries there's a contact us box which you can fill in, which will give us a lot more information, and that will enable us to direct your query to the best place, the person most equipped to help you.
Lovely. Well, that's really fantastic. What I'm going to do, Joe, afterwards, I'm just going to drop that information in the comments box beneath on LinkedIn. So for now, I just want to say thank you so much for spending your time today. Really interesting to find out about how your lockdown's been, and catch up soon.
You too. Thanks very much, Phil. Lovely speaking to you.
You too, Joe. Bye.